and welcome back to the channel. I hope you had a fantastic New Year's Eve and you're having an even better New Year's Day. But if you're anything like me, New Year's Day can be one of the strangest holidays of the entire year. Christmas has come and gone, you're starting to feel the pinch in your wallet and your bank account. It's dark, it's cold, and you've got to start looking forward to going back to work. Things don't look great on New Year's Day. All the good stuff seems to be behind you and you've got to prepare yourself for a whole new year to start over. So today I thought I would lighten the mood a little bit, at least for myself, and think about some of the fun action figures that we've got to look forward to in 2024. Now, of course, this is by no means an exhaustive list. This is just the things that are off the top of my head, the things that I'm aware of and the things that I'm looking forward to. I appreciate there's a great many lines out there and I'm not even looking at things like Mafex, for example, or even NECA for that matter. But I hope I am going to cover a fair mix of things that I hope will get you excited as well. First up, let's talk about Marvel Legends. Now, you can always rely on Hasbro to churn out about 18 different waves of Marvel Legends figures if 2023 was anything to go by. And it looks like 2024 is off to a great start. Now, we don't know an awful lot about what is coming in the year, but we've had a few announcements already, and I'm sure there's a great many more to come. I can't wait to find out what they've got lined up. But we do know that first up, we have this fantastic Spider-Man wave. Now, I already know that a few of these have already started making their way into the hands of collectors already, and this wave is making use once again of that fantastic nostalgic packaging which takes long-time collectors like myself back to our childhoods in the 1990s, representing the wonderful animated series. Now, I love this packaging, I have great affection for it, I love having these on display on my wall. As I said, it takes me right back to my childhood. And this wave is interesting because it features no less than 3 different Spider-Man variants, and top of my list here is going to be the Scarlet Spider. Now, I already have a Scarlet Spider from the Marvel Legends line, released just a few years ago. Well, I say a few years, maybe it was about 8 years ago now. Boy, time flies. And as it happens, I really liked that initial release anyway, but this looks like it's got some new tweaks that might actually make some small improvements to it. So I'm really excited to get these two figures side by side and compare them, and I'm definitely up for a new version of the Scarlet Spider. I love this character very much. The other highlight of this wave for me is actually going to be Jack-O-Lantern. Now, we've only had one other variant of this particular version of Jack-O-Lantern, which is his original incarnation as we see from sort of the 80s, and that was produced by Toy Biz. That was also a really good figure, but it did have an action feature in the arm, so I'm really pleased to get a updated version of this version of the character. The other major highlight for me is the new version of Tombstone. This looks like a fantastic sculpt. This is much closer to the version of Tombstone that I'm familiar with. We did get one a few years ago in his sort of spandex costume, which was fine, but it was a little bit underwhelming. This in his suit here just looks absolutely spot on, and I love that we're getting 2 alternate heads here. So this one's really exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on him. Now, the other figures in the wave, Hallows Eve is a character I'm not familiar with, apologies, and the other Spider-Man variants I can take or leave, to be honest, but these 3 here are the ones that I'm really looking forward to. The 60th anniversary of the X-Men may be over, but that is not stopping Hasbro from producing some more special X-Men figures in 2024. And one of the most surprising releases is this version of Angel in his red and white costume. I love this costume, I think it looks really good. And here he's getting the deluxe treatment with these really fancy, huge wings. This has got quite a big wingspan on it, and I think this is going to be a deluxe release coming up. So this looks fantastic. I'm really looking forward to getting my hands on this fella. But that's not all when it comes to the X-Men, because we are getting a follow-up wave to the X-Men 97 wave of figures. Now, I haven't reviewed those figures yet, I do have them, and I plan to drop a video on them quite soon. And this announcement actually gives away some details of what to expect in the upcoming animated series, because we have some really surprising characters and versions of characters here that I wasn't anticipating. So we see for the first time the Goblin Queen. We've never had this character at all in the Marvel Legends line. This is a much sought after character, and whilst it's obviously very specific to her animated incarnation, I'm sure a lot of fans will be quite pleased to pick this up. We also have the Executioner, and I have to say, looking at the figure, I suspect this is going to be one of those frustrated ones, given the clothing that he wears. I suspect he's probably going to be a little bit limited when it comes to his articulation, but nevertheless, again, it's his debut in the Marvel Legends line, and whilst it does have that look that's taken directly from the animated show, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be really keen to get hold of him. The other one that's a real surprise here is Magneto, but in his 80s fatigues. So this is quite interesting. I'm guessing they may be looking into doing the Trial of Magneto storyline in the animated series. It's anyone's guess at this moment, I suppose. But nevertheless, quite a surprising one, and I'm sure a lot of comic book collectors as well as animated series fans will want to grab this one. Then we have Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler. These ones I can pretty much take or leave. For me, I really like the X-Men 97 line because it helps me to build out my animated series figures, which they sort of stopped short of last year. So I'm really happy to pick up a Nightcrawler, but I already feel like I have a good Cyclops and a Jean Grey, so I'm not sure whether I need to pick these up. And spinning off from the X-Men, of course, next year is the 50th anniversary of the creation of Wolverine, everyone's favourite mutant. So, of course, Hasbro are doing a special wave of dedicated toy sets to celebrate Logan in his various forms and incarnations across the years. And there's some really fun and exciting releases here. Already up for pre-order is a Wolverine in his civilian duds versus Sabretooth. And this looks like a tweaked version of the Sabretooth we got a few years ago. This looks like a new paint deco, and there may be some new pieces here as well, which is quite exciting. So a lot of people will be keen to get this. For me personally, I actually really want a civilian Wolverine. I already have the one in the cowboy hat and the sort of the white vest, but this is much better. I love this sort of tartan shirt that he's wearing. This is definitely the version of Wolverine I really want in his civilian dud. So this looks really, really cool. I've already got mine on pre-order. I'm looking forward to this. We also have the Lilandra and Wolverine as a brood. This is very unexpected, but very cool. People have been clamoring for a Lilandra figure for the longest time, so they'll be absolutely thrilled to have the Empress of the Shi'ar Empire in their collection, I'm absolutely sure. I just hope that this points to maybe us getting a Deathbird as well at some point in the future, but this is long expected, so this is absolutely fantastic. The Wolverine as a brood is really surprising touch, but quite cool. Again, I've got mine on pre-order. I think this will be a really interesting display piece when it comes out. But that's not all, because we've also had a Joe Fixit Wolverine as patch set as well. Now, for me, I'm more excited about the Wolverine as patch, to be honest, which is really just the head sculpt thing, which is kind of silly, but there you go. But this is really, really cool. Again, a lot of people suspected we'd get a Joe Fixit in his white tuxedo and get this as a 2-pack this year. It kind of makes me feel like I shouldn't have picked up that Joe Fixit deluxe figure last year, because now I will have 3. But this looks really cool. I think this is a legitimately great variant of Joe Fixit, and a lot of people are going to go mad to get hold of this. And then finally, we have a Wolverine versus a possessed Psylocke. This is taken from a very specific Jim Lee storyline from the very early 90s, or was it the late 80s? I forget now. But hey, it's very fondly remembered, and this is a great recreation of that. They've already previously released a version of this Wolverine, but this is a slightly tweaked version, and I'm pleased to say I actually missed that first time around. So for me, this is another winner. I'll be definitely picking this up, and I think the Psylocke in that ninja costume is just really, really cool and a great variant for that character we've not had before. Okay, now Hasbro's Marvel Legends is not the only game in town when you're looking at Marvel Legends figures, because we also have Marvel Select, because Diamond Select Toys have really come back into the game in 2023 and made some fantastic releases that in many ways far surpass Marvel Legends. And it looks like we're off to a good start in 2024, because they've just announced an Aeneas figure, which is really, really exciting. I can't wait to get my hands on this. We've only had one version of this character in the Marvel Legends line. That was a Builder-figure many, many years ago, and it was a nice figure, but it wasn't the best received at the time, and it wasn't in Hasbro's heyday when they were making the best choices with their figures. So, to be fair, I think this is a really great move from Marvel Select, and I think will be an absolutely fantastic figure. They're also supposed to be releasing that Captain America and Archangel figure, which I'm still waiting for, so I'm hoping they get a move on and get those out in the early part of this year. Shifting over to the distinguished competition, McFarlane Toys had a very good year last year, especially with their Batman figures, and I was hugely impressed with their Batman and Robin wave, and who's to say that we won't get a Batman Forever or a Batman Returns wave from them later in the year? That hasn't been announced yet, it's just a personal dream. But what we do know is coming is we are getting a follow-up wave to their Batman the Animated series. Now, these figures are essentially re-releases of the DC Direct, or the the DC Collectibles BTAS figures that were released a good few years ago, but they have brand new paint decos, a lot of them with cell shading, and of course the materials they used are very slightly different as well. They are slightly more glossy than the original matte paint. Now, I've just recently reviewed the Series 1 figures, and so it's great to have a second follow-up series. Of these characters, I'm really excited to see that we're getting Joker in his trench coat. This was a difficult figure to track down from DC Direct initially because he was a special deluxe release. He was the Joker Expressions pack version of the Joker. So it's really nice that he's getting a mainstream release now. That means I'll be able to finally get this version of the Joker because I love him in his trench coat. And we're getting a Build-A-Figure of a brand new character in Lockup. I don't believe that this has ever been produced in this scale before, so this is absolutely fantastic to get something brand new here, and I think he looks great, and I'm really looking forward to building him. When it comes to the Commissioner Gordon and the Riddler, I can take or leave these really. I'll get them for the Build-A-Figure piece, but I feel like I kind of have these already, and to be honest, in terms of the accessories, they're just not as good, especially for that Riddler figure. And then we have the Android version of Batman, which is pretty cool. This is one I passed on first time around, so very cool to get a second chance at this guy. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he has a brand new head sculpt, which we didn't get first time around, so that probably makes him worth a double dip. Interestingly, McFarlane Toys have just teased another movie figure. This time it looks to be the Batman versus Superman Batman, or Ben Affleck's Batman from his first appearance. This is quite cool, actually long overdue, because they've never actually produced this version of Batman. Previously we've had the Justice League and the Flash versions of Batfleck, but we haven't had his initial appearance in BVS. So this will be very, very interesting. I'm sure a lot of you, like myself, will be really excited to get your hands on this. And I think what's very telling about this is that he actually has a cloth cape, looking at this promo image. Now, usually they only do that if they're planning to release a vehicle with him, so that's very interesting. Perhaps we'll be getting another Batmobile after all. Switching scales now to the 1/6 scale, and of course I have to talk about Hot Toys because they are re-releasing the Batman 1989 figure, and I think this is actually new, actually has some new improvements over the original release, and wow, I can't wait for this. Now I actually have pulled the trigger on this and put a pre-order in, so I cannot wait to get my hands on this guy. It's the most I've ever paid for an action figure, and I did feel slightly guilty about it, but I had to have the 89 Batman. I love this guy so much, and I'm so gutted I missed out on him first time around. So yeah, this is really, really exciting. There's two speeds to this figure. There's the standard release, which is the one I've had to opt for, which is pretty cool. It comes with a number of different faceplates and all sorts of extra goodies, which is fantastic. But then there's also the special edition, the deluxe edition, which has this wonderful display stand as well, with the gargoyle on, which just looks absolutely tremendous. And for those who can afford it, they're also re-releasing the Batmobile, an in-scale Batmobile. They have released this previously, and wow, it's such an amazing piece, and yeah, it's quite pricey. It's certainly more than I can afford, but wow, it looks absolutely incredible. And I have seen this in the flesh, or I should say I saw the original in the flesh many years ago, and I was absolutely awestruck by it. It's an incredible piece of kit, I have to say, and if I had that kind of money, I would definitely bite the hand off to get hold of this. So I'm looking forward to other people's reviews of this, because I think it just looks absolutely fantastic. Now, interestingly, speaking about price though, it does seem that Hot Toys are conscious of their price points, and they have for the first time done something quite innovative and quite interesting. So for this year, we will be getting a 1/6 scale Wolverine figure produced with Honu Studios, which is actually going to be a budget release. So this actually looks, relatively speaking, affordable. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still quite pricey, but compared to their usual price point, this is almost half the price of what they charge these days. So this is quite exciting. I personally, I'm in two minds about pulling the trigger on this one. I desperately want this Wolverine, but I feel like I've got quite a lot on pre-order this year, and I've got to be careful with the pennies. But this is one I am very, very tempted to get, because I do love Wolverine, and I've got that Gambit figure from Sideshow that I want to put him next to. So I think you make a lovely display piece. But very, very exciting, very cool. I hope they do more like this at a lower cost that people could really invest in, because I'd love to get a Jim Lee Cyclops like this as well. From what I can tell, looking at the images, this looks to be really beautifully produced. I think the costume looks pitch perfect. I've got some slight reservations about the claws. They just seem to be too far apart, maybe a little bit too long, and just it's more the width between them. I think that causes me a little bit concerned. I think they should be a little bit closer together. But nevertheless, hey, I'm not going to complain. I think this looks absolutely brilliant, and I particularly like the approach they've taken to the arms, because obviously they're seamless, and this just looks stunning, really. So yeah, I'm very tempted, let's put it this way. It's not all superheroes on my channel though. My other great passion, of course, is Star Trek, and X06 are continuing their line this year, and we've got a couple to look forward to that are already on pre-order. So Data is due imminently, invoices have gone out, so hopefully we'll get hold of these pretty soon, although to be honest, given with Chinese New Year and everything, I suspect I probably won't get mine till around about March. This is what happened with Archer, unfortunately, last year, but nevertheless, I'm still really looking forward to getting hold of the first TNG proper bridge crew member produced by X06. We've had Q previously, but we've had no other characters from that series yet, so it's long overdue, and I'm very excited to have my first. And I have to say, I really love Data, so this is a great release for me. I'm really anticipating. There's two speeds for Data. You can get the there's the Essentials version, and then there's the standard version, but I think the standard version is the deluxe version, and the Essentials version is the one that is the bare bones. I'm sorry, I struggle to keep up with X06's logic sometimes, but nevertheless, I've gone for the deluxe version, which comes with Spot and a few extra accessories, and an alternate head, I believe, as well, which looks really cool. So I'm really looking forward to this. Obviously, X06 do have a pretty high benchmark when it comes to a standard of figure that they put out. They're not always pitch perfect, but this one looks really good from the photos I've seen so far, and I'm really excited to get my hands on him. Even more exciting than Data, though, has to be the Search for Spock Krug. Oh, I cannot wait to get hold of this figure, to have a classic Klingon in my collection. I say classic, a movie era Klingon, or a TNG era Klingon, is what I really love. I love this costume. I love Krug. I think he's one of those fantastic, iconic Star Trek villains, and his costume's absolutely brilliant. Having those robes, of course, he's got his Klingon disruptor. He just looks absolutely fantastic, and he's even supposed to have rooted hair, which is something of a first for the X06 line, so I'm really excited to see how this turns out. I think he looks just the works. This is actually the figure that got me into buying 1/6 scale figures, and yeah, I'm really excited to finally get hold of him. So I've got a little bit of a wait yet. I imagine it'll probably be summer before he actually materializes, but wow, this is one to be really excited about for the year. And then finally, and perhaps surprisingly, I have the 3-0 Rambo First Blood Part 2 action figure on pre-order. This was one I pulled the trigger on in a moment of weakness, but I had to get this. I'm a huge fan of Sly, and for me, this is probably his definitive look for the character of Rambo. I'm not even a huge Rambo fan, I'm more of a Rocky fan, but like I said, I just really like Sly, and I really wanted to get one in my collection. And for me, there's just something about this image from Rambo 2 that is just, it's so iconic. It sums up everything about Sly for me, so I think it's just a fantastic figure, and my word, it comes with so many incredible accessories, including bows and arrows, and machine guns, rocket launchers, knives, throwing knives, whatever you can think of, he's got it. Plus, he has so many different looks that you can have for this version of the character as well. Of course, he can go shirtless, he's got the vest, he's also got the outer shirt as well. It's just going to be such an amazing display piece that I couldn't resist, and I just think he looks brilliant. I cannot wait to get this guy in my collection. I think he looks brilliant, and I can finally have Sylvester Stallone properly represented in my 1/6 scale cabinet. This is going to be pretty good stuff. Okay, so there we go. I've waxed lyrical enough. These are the things that I'm really looking forward to in the year, and as I said, these are just the things we know about. I'm sure there's a great many things that are going to drop and be announced in this year that I have no idea exist yet, so I'm sure there's going to be many wonderful surprises. But already 2024 looks like it's going to be off to a good start, so I'll finish by wishing you all another happy new year, happy 2024. I hope you have a great year.